Section. Yes, what is reality? What is real? What is not? What is the fact? What checks out? What doesn't? These are all kind of the myths we are trying to debunk today. I can remember a few years ago when we are going through the whole crossroads around the entrepreneurship line. We have things like innovation, we have things like ingenuity, you see genius, you have products that are making waves, Facebook, Google. Even here in our country, we have Paystack, we have Flutterwave, amongst countless other products that are making waves there outside. We tend to think as if there is a playbook, there is a pattern, there is a way of going around things, either as an entrepreneur, as a company, or as a team generally. So today we are here. We are finally joined with Mr. Igwe Uguru, a very personal friend of mine. He's a mentor. I actually started from his first company, and I think directly Lanepact is a product of Mr. Igwe in the long run a few years ago. So today, as we dive right into the myths and the reality of innovation and entrepreneurship, allow me to welcome Mr. Igwe. Now, before we go over to Mr. Igwe, I would like to do a little introduction of how we came about this whole structure of reality check section. Now, a few months back, we dove into the venture of training and preparing professionals for the career paths, either becoming entrepreneurs or starting as engineers to deliver solutions, either within the country and outside the country. Now, it dawned on us that there are other technical know-hows that you need to know to actually survive in the realm of entrepreneurship. These skills and know-hows are what we are here to discuss. Lanepact in a long way has put together a couple of series that is going to take us through amazing sections that are going to fact check some myths and norms and some words that we throw around in entrepreneurship line. Lanepact itself is a company that has the core vision of preparing professional and well-trained individuals to build solutions for individuals, businesses, and startups out of Africa. We believe in working in teams to deliver solutions, and to actually deliver solutions, we need to understand what entrepreneurship means on the long run. Thank you very much for joining in. Allow me to welcome Mr. Igwe Uguru. He is a personal mentor. He has run 2 different companies on his second company now. He started Wi-Fi Tech Hub, a co-creation hub that have produced more than 5,000 entrepreneurs, me being one of them. He is currently the CEO of Chooya. This is a local customer experience company. You can call it e-commerce, but it's beyond e-commerce. They are making waves here in Africa, starting from Nigeria. And I believe, if you don't quote me literally, they are one of the best team coming out from Nigeria. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Igwe. I'll give you a few minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marcellus, for the warm introduction. So basically, I am an entrepreneur and innovation catalyst. So what I do is to help drive innovation across products, across people, and across processes. So that is what I do as an individual. And basically, I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2015, which was Wi-Fi Tech Hub, where we focus on entrepreneurs, creatives, and software engineers. So that was 2015, and we have people like Mercedes who came through our 5 Tech Hub, and I am glad to know that they are doing amazing stuff, and we are definitely proud to see a lot of other people within our ecosystem and within our community and Africa at large to do much more greater stuff ahead. So that's basically who I am, and into of what I do. So a few years ago, I started my journey. I started another journey, which is another company that came out of our 5Tech Hub, which is Chooya. Okay, so what we are doing is basically to inspire chefs, inspire cooks, to inspire anyone who cook across Africa on their journey of making great meals. Okay, so we help them to access the local markets conveniently from the comfort of their home, so they can be able to save time, save money, and save stress. Okay, so over time also I have we have helped work with a couple of other startups, and around 5Tech Hub has other startups that has also came out from there. We have School Suites, the school management system that allows schools to be able to automate their processes and explore the possibilities of technology, helping them to be more productive. So, and a couple of other startups that we have been able to help, like Mayvibe. Mayvibe happens to be one of the foremost online streaming, music streaming and distribution platform. Okay, so that's we can keep rolling about on most of the businesses and startups we have actually have come out from that 5Tech Hub. So these are a few of them. But behind that, I have also been privileged to work with entrepreneurs at the Innovative Foundation as a business owner, and also been privileged to walk through the walls of the Lanepact Business School and African Leadership University, where Chooya was part of, and it was quite an interesting experience. So I wouldn't want to go in detail about my portfolio or about myself, okay, because that is not what we are here for today. So I want you to maybe probably check out my LinkedIn page so you can be able to learn more about me, and we can also continue this conversation after here, because that.
Thank you very much, sir. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. So today we are diving into a very big myth within the entrepreneurship ecosystem. We are talking about innovation, sustainability playbook for today's entrepreneurs. Experience. That is why I am with experience. You can help us really look at the reality and the myths behind the catchwords innovation and what it really means to be a sustainable entrepreneur. So that is why we are here, and that's the order of the day. There will be a lot of questions that will come from our audience. We'll try as much as possible to answer them as we go along. But as we are opening our minds to the facts and the reality behind innovation and some words like sustainability, let us bear it in mind that today we are about to get through. It's all about getting to the truth, not being right or wrong. So whatever you have in mind before now, I always say have an open mind. Please be open-minded, because I'm not a myth that you might have heard of before coming to this section that we are trying to prepare. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in. We will now be handing over officially to Mr. Igwe to take us through what he has for us on innovation and sustainable playbook for today's entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marcellus, and thank you for the great work you guys are doing at Lanepact. And it's quite a privilege and an honor for me to be in this conversation. So I want to say this is a conversation, and this is a discussion. So I am, by the end of this discussion and conversation, definitely we are going to have great insights as entrepreneurs, as business people, and also as creatives. So we can also okay. So that's it, and I think so we can move to the next slide. I also want to be sure that we can see the slide. Okay, so I have also done a quick uh, intro about some of the portfolios we have at advice.com and what we are currently doing at Chooya and the rest. So we can move to the next slide. Okay, so I want to give out this for now while we move into the conversation proper. Now, I saw the need for entrepreneurs, businesses to understand the business of their numbers. So I designed and crafted a basic and an advanced financial modeling template for anyone who is aiming to build something big and something huge in the future. So this is the access. You can access it at bits.ly financial model by Igwe Uguru. So it's a free gift to entrepreneurs so we can be able to build amazing businesses together. Finance is key, and that is the lifeblood of any business. Any entrepreneur should understand his business numbers. You must understand the numbers of his business. So that is proper, and that is really, really very important. Okay, so let's get into the business of the day. So fill the form and then you get that. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to be here, and I'll be speaking on a conversation I have titled Innovative and Sustainable Playbook for today's entrepreneurs. And this happens to be an in-house conversation with entrepreneurs at Rad 5 Tech Club. So this was a conversation that happened in-house for us here, and I think there is need for us to take it out from Rad 5 Tech Club and get it into the hands of many entrepreneurs across Africa. So that is what we are going to be discussing today, and probably at the end we can be able to discuss and ask questions, and we will definitely find answers to most of our questions. So let's get to the playbooks. Okay, so the next slide. So there are 5 key playbooks that I am going to be discussing on. Okay, there are 5 key playbooks that I'm going to be discussing on. So the number 1 is invention versus innovation, and the second one is value creation versus value capturing, and the third one is company versus platform, and the fourth one is demand versus supply, and the last one, which is quite interesting, why you need to stay to the end of this conversation, is that love is the greatest. So let's get started with the first one. Okay, so guys, as entrepreneurs, as people who are looking at doing business, there are 2 things we need to understand, and we need to structure that as part of our playbook. And that is the fact that invention is quite different from innovation. Okay, so most of us understand this, but we need to build a playbook around this. So while we are running our businesses, while we are running our companies, we understand where innovation comes to play and where invention comes to play. Okay, so for the benefits of doubt, invention is practically for us to be able to build something, for us to be able to create something, for us to be able to come up with something something very novel. Okay, so in the olden days, we had people who built amazing things, but those things never impacted the life of people, right? So we can talk about a lot of scientists in the olden days, and even in today's world, where we have great people inventing novel products and with novel ideas. But the truth is that these ideas fail to reach and impact a whole lot of people. Why? Because they happen to just be inventions. So we have great inventors. Now, I wouldn't want to start the conversation now, but if I ask you if you know the Steve who who was behind the great products of Apple, you would tell me that it's Steve Jobs. But the truth is that there were two Steves who started Apple, and one is an inventor, while the other one is an innovator. And the innovator is the one we know, who is Steve Jobs. But the other Steve, we don't know him, but he was the one behind the technologies, he was the one behind all the inventions of Apple. Now, so what I'm trying to explain here is this. Most times as entrepreneurs, we focus on invention. So any product you see today that has not reached a large number of people impacting their life is not an innovation. Innovation is not something very good, something very amazing. It's not robotics, it's not AI. Innovation is any venture, anything at all, any concept, any business, any idea, any solution that has reached a large number of people impacting their lives. That is what innovation is. And innovation happens to be invention plus commercialization. So until you commercialize your invention, it is not an innovation. So if we have people who build great products, these great products are not innovations. They are actually inventions. Until you begin to innovate around it and get it commercialized into the hands of great people, amazing people, huge number of people, that is when you call it innovation. So I hope that this is clear, and the essence of this conversation is so that we understand this and we know where we can be able to figure out most of these systems while building our business. So we understand the fact that innovation is key. Innovation is key. Apart from invention, we need to think about innovation. And only entrepreneurs can actually innovate. Innovation is not building new products. It is actually commercializing those great products. So for you to be an innovator, you need to understand how to commercialize inventions. So most innovators are not inventors. Like arguably, some persons will tell you that Steve Jobs never invented most of those great products you see today. But he was an innovator who understands how to put that product in the hands of people. So in today's world, we are looking at innovators and not inventors. When we look at the Western countries, we see that they are ahead of us because they are moved from the era of invention to the era of innovation. Africa is still in the era of invention, while the Western countries have moved from invention to innovation. So we as entrepreneurs need to understand this playbook and figure it out in our business strategies and see how we can begin to turn our inventions into innovation by making sure we have the capacity and capabilities to convert them into great products that a lot of people can use and it will impact their life. Until then, we can say we are innovators, we are truly innovators. So I would like to move to the next playbook, okay, which has to do with value creation and value capturing. So I believe we must be taking notes, and so that maybe at the end of the day we can look at this together and see how we can together build great products from this conversation. Okay, so another playbook I would want us to consider is the playbook versus the value capture. So most of us understand what value creation is, and we focus on creating values for our customers, for our users. So most times as business people, as entrepreneurs, we believe that we exist to create value for our customers. Yes, that is true. But there is a playbook that we need to understand very critically, that business is not just about creating value for customers. it is about going the extra mile to capture value for this for the value that you are creating for these customers. Until you do that, you cannot move your business or company to the mountain. So we need to understand this and figure this as a playbook while we are building our business. So let me try to explain a bit further. Now, if you are building a business, your mind is centered on, let us create a great product that a lot of people will value and use, and it will change their lives. The truth is that this is a good mission. But if you do that for the next 6 months without capturing value, when we talk about capturing value, what we are talking about is generating revenue from the value you are creating for your customers. Until you do that, you have not been able to validate that concept. So most people are building great businesses, great products, great ideas that a lot of people are willing to use, but they are not ready to pay for. Until you do that, that is when you can be able to say that you are building a great business. Apple today, Google today, Facebook today are great because they are creating value for their customers at the same time they are capturing value. So that is why you see them as billion-dollar companies. Why they are billion-dollar companies is because they are creating huge value and at the same time capturing value. So we should remember to see and figure out the best way we should capture value for our businesses. Until we do that, we cannot actually say we are entrepreneurs. Great entrepreneurs are people who do a combination of value creation and value capture. So I believe that this is a bit clear, and I will want to move to the next playbook, and we can talk about the other ones in the discussion. So the third playbook is company versus platform. Last year, I was privileged to be part of the Alibaba Business School, and one of the critical and most important things they emphasize on for the 53 entrepreneurs who joined across the globe, with us as Chooya as the only startup from Nigeria that participated and exists across Africa, was the fact that we should understand the difference between company and platforms. Today, a lot of us want to build companies, but the truth is that companies are built so you can be happy, so they can actually make you feel great. They can actually make you to be as lovely as, like, you feel it as, wow, we are doing something great. But we need to understand the essence of building platforms. Platform we mean here is not just building a mobile platform, but we are talking about building ecosystems. Until you build ecosystem where you have a lot of people who can benefit from it, that is when you will know that you are building great products that will be at the mountain top. So what I mean by this is, today we have great products. We have great people building great companies. But these big companies, these great companies are not actually building enabling ecosystem and environment for other people to play. Now, when we begin to look at great companies and great businesses today in the world and across the globe, we see that these are platforms. And what made them platforms is not because they run online, but because they have figured out how to be able to create an ecosystem where other people and other players can be able to come. So, for instance, we have content people who are maximizing Facebook. So they have been able to build a community. They have been able to build an ecosystem, not just a company that will make them feel great, but a platform where a lot of people can come in and be able to figure out how they can be able to grow and unleash their potentials. So while we are building our businesses, while we are building our companies, while we are building our startups, we need to understand that we need to move from the concept of companies to platforms. And when we talk about platforms, we are not talking about building mobile apps or building web platforms, but building a platform where we have a lot of people who are being impacted and who can be able to leverage on what we are doing to do what they want to do. Until we do that, that is when we know that we are really doing something great. I believe that we have a lot of people here who are looking at building great products, who are looking at building great companies that are not just to make them to be fulfilled as individuals, but also to create an enabling environment for other people to be able to do amazing things on their own. So, in summary, companies make you to feel good, while platforms make other people to feel great. And at the same time, when they feel great, you in turn will feel fulfilled, and that is when you know that missions are being accomplished. So let's move to the fourth playbook. So the fourth playbook is on demand and supply. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of supply has gone, and we need to figure out this and be able to see how we can be able to put that as a playbook while we are building our companies, and while we are building our startups and businesses. Before now, the people who actually have the power are people who have the supply, but that has changed. For instance, if there's a breaking news today, where we are going to go to is not going to be, if you are in Nigeria, we have NTA News, we have NTA radio station and TV, we have this day newspaper, we have a lot of them. So these are the people who actually have this supply. So if you need news, breaking news, it is the daily newspapers that will give you that supply for that news, right? So but things are changing. We have Twitter that is now bigger than most of these other people. And now what is now happening? What is happening is that even the radio stations, the newspapers are now moving to Twitter to leverage on Twitter so that they can be able to reach to the people that they need to reach. So this tells us that the people who control the market today are not people who are in the supply chain, but people who are in the demand. So if you can be able to figure out how to create demand, that is when great things can happen for you as a business and also as an entrepreneur. So while we are building our businesses, we need to figure out how we can be able to control the demand. And if you also look at it from the concept of businesses like Airbnb, you see that Airbnb that is focused on helping people to be able to access local so that they can be able to use other people's apartments as an alternative to hotels. They do not have any house of their own. But what they do is that they have been able to figure out how to control the demand. In as much that you are the owner of that house, you do not decide what happens. Airbnb will decide even to the extent of the price because they control the demand. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that demand as of today is the key and not supply. The era of supply has gone. It is now anybody who can be able to control the demand will become the king of that market. So we need to begin to position our businesses from just as a supply-driven company to see how we can be able to control demand. And that is what great companies are doing today. When we look at people like Facebook, when we look at people like Uber, and we can mention as many as possible. These are companies that have figured out how to be able to control demand and not just the supply. So great things will happen when you figure out how you can be able to control. So the last playbook I want to share is a personal philosophy and something I believe that will happen anytime soon. And I want to differentiate it from the concept of customer service. I believe that the next playbook for great companies is going to be love. And this is something I strongly believe. We have great companies who are doing great stuff, and they are figuring out how to be able to create great customer service for their customers. What I see in the future that great companies will emerge when we have companies who are centered on love. I believe that love is the greatest. I believe that the next category king companies are going to be companies who are going to be centered on love. I'm not talking about customer service. I'm not talking about great customer service. I'm talking about empathy as a strategy for growth. Empathy as a strategy to build great business. Consumers, customers, and a lot of people are going to look at companies who are going to give them love as the greatest asset. So we need to figure this out and put it as a playbook while we are building our companies, our businesses, and startups. I believe that this is a part in the future that great companies are going to start positioning and emerge from. Because I believe that a lot of companies are also going to have the infrastructures, the funds, the resources they need to have the best of customer service. But customers are going to move away from customer service because all these companies are giving them great customer service experience. But any company that will figure out how to love their customers, their employees, anybody that they work with, stakeholders, partners, will be the next great companies that we will see emerge in the nearest future. So these are 5 key playbooks that I want us, while we are building our businesses, to be focused on. So coming to the end of this conversation, talking about the 5 playbooks. So I will want to do a quick rundown on these 5 key playbooks that I think that are key for every entrepreneur, every great business that is looking at doing great business tomorrow. So the first thing I talked about is invention and innovation. Not every inventor is an innovator. We must understand this. We have people who can build great products. Building great products is about invention, but commercialization is innovation. We need to understand this concept. Innovation is about commercializing an invention. We have great people building great stuff, but until you commercialize it to a large number of people, that is when you can call that innovation. Any invention that has not impacted the lives of thousands of people cannot be called innovation. That is only invention. We need to understand this as entrepreneurs so that we can begin to focus on innovation and not just invention. I also talked about the value creation and the value capture. A lot of businesses, entrepreneurs are focused on capturing value, on creating value rather. But if you look at big companies, they do a combination of value creation and value capture. And that is key. That is what great businesses do. You can go about creating a lot of features, a lot of values, a lot of value proposition for your customers. Until they pay for that value, that is when you can do great things. They might pay for that maybe 100 years later. They might pay for that 200 years later. But until they do that, that is when you can say you are building a great business. So great business, great entrepreneurs, great companies are built on value creation, value capture. You must understand how to be able to capture value from the value you are creating for your customers. And you also need to understand why you need to build a platform, an ecosystem, rather than building a company. The company is to make you fulfilled, while platform is to make others fulfilled. And missions are being accomplished when we build great products that get people fulfilled. And when we do that, we, at the end of the day, will be fulfilled. So focus on building platforms. And remember that platforms are not just mobile apps or web platforms. Focus on making people to getting people to use your services, but ecosystem that allow other people to connect your resources and do great things. Just like you can see what Uber is doing, where they have a platform, not a mobile app, but a system, an ecosystem where drivers can leverage to earn and make a living for themselves. I talked about demand and supply. I made us to understand the fact that the power has changed hands. Power has moved from the hands of those who have the supply to those who have the demand. So today, you might have the supply, you might have the product, but anybody who has the person who wants to buy will definitely control it. So we need to position ourselves to the point where we can be able to build great products that control demand and not just supply. So I talked about the last thing, which is the fact that love is the greatest. I strongly believe in this. Yes, this might be scriptural for those who are Christians, but I look at this from the business concept and business view that great companies in the future are going to be companies who are centered on love. And great competition are going to come from companies who create the best environment, the best products that customers not just love the product, but they feel loved. This is when you can be able to say you're building a product, a company, a business for the future. So I believe that if we focus on these 5 playbooks as entrepreneurs, as business people, as creatives, we will definitely do great things, and great things will definitely happen while we do those things. So ladies and gentlemen, there are other playbooks that I wouldn't want to talk about, like the playbook of skill versus systems. But I believe that if we can focus on these playbooks, we will do great things. Great things will definitely happen. So thank you very much. And for those who joined recently, I shared and I said that if you are looking at, if you're building something huge, I talked about that finance is very key and you need to understand the business of finance. So I designed the templates which you can use to figure out the business of the numbers of your business. Okay, so you can check it out using the link bit.ly financial model by Igwe Uguru. So you can have access to that as a free tool for you to be able to figure out your financials. So thank you very much, guys. And I would like to open up this conversation as we begin to talk about each of those playbooks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Wow, this is an eye opener, a big eye opener. There are a lot of comparisons that was going around: invention versus innovation. Wow. Okay, like you said, we are opening up the floor to make it more orderly. The questions based on all the comparisons and the playbooks can be dropped on the chat area. You can also indicate that you have a question by raising up. We have a few questions that we've been gotten from both our WhatsApp page and some of our colleagues around. So I'll be sharing those questions and we'll have a discussion around it. But as it stands now, we are very grateful, sir, for sharing your knowledge and giving us enough insight. This is more like 5 big nuggets we need to think about in the entrepreneurship world. Okay, so keep your questions coming on the chat area. If you wish to actually share a question by discussing it or asking it directly, drop an emoji sign on the chat area. You'll be given the opportunity to talk about it. Okay, so we dive right into the first playbook: invention versus innovation. And I was particularly fascinated with the example you gave when you started that playbook. You gave the example of Apple, which is we have 2 Steves behind the Apple brand, the Apple product: Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. But popularly, everybody is Everybody is aware of Steve Jobs. We all know Steve Jobs. And why we know Steve Jobs is because he is the innovator. That is, he took the creation beyond just creating, he took it to commercialization. The marketing, everything around the Apple brand was pushed by Steve Jobs. Steve Wozniak was the one behind the invention. So my question on this playbook, and I also got from my colleague, is that looking at, because we are trying to fact check and look at the reality of where we are and how we are going to get to that point. Looking at our current situation here in the country and in the continent, we are growing. We're a growing country and a growing continent. We have a lot of potentials and we are seeing them turning into amazing inventions. See Paystack, Flutter Wave. I'm even seeing Chooya, only solution that was chosen in Africa. I'm very, very proud of Chooya. So how do we bridge this gap? How do we bridge this gap in terms of, we believe that, me coming from a technical background, I also know a lot of people that came from a technical background, we believe that writing code, creating something is the way to go about it. How do we bridge that gap in terms of commercialization in light of the limitations we have in the country? Like, not everybody is connected to the internet. You have to do a lot of legwork. I know you did, based on your experience, Chooya, you did a lot of legwork to even get to the point you are now. I knew when the legwork was going through. So based on your experience, how do you propose, how will you actually propose or advise us that we are still getting into we that are getting into the field to go about this commercialization, that's going about innovation? As we explained, innovation is invention plus commercialization. So I'm very clear about the commercialization. So what are the tips? What are the advice? What can you tell us on how to go about the commercialization aspects of innovation?
Okay, so thank you very much. That's advice. So one truth I want to share is the fact that you as an inventor is not the crime. It's a huge asset. You only need to understand that you are an inventor, not an innovator. Right? So if you are a developer and you write codes, you build great products, you can be an inventor, right? There is nothing bad about that. If you look at Amazon, if you look at the background of Amazon, you will see that the products platform for Amazon was not built by Bezos. Bezos never built the platform. So they had inventors who invented their mobile apps, their web platform. So those guys are great people. So inventors and innovators must come together for great things to happen. Right? So you as an inventor is key. Now we can also see people who happen to be inventors and also innovators, like people like Mark of Facebook. So Mark is an innovator. Why? Because he's not just building products, like designing the product, creating them, inventing them, but he's going as far as possible to innovate around it. Innovation is not changing features, right? Innovation is figuring out how is the best way for us to get this product into the hands of people. So we just have to understand that, so that we don't start moving and saying, "Oh, I'm not an innovator. I'm not an innovator. Since I'm an inventor, let me begin to struggle to be an innovator." No, it doesn't work that way. If that happened in Apple, you see that there would have been an issue, right? So understand your place, understand where you fall, and then provide the support you need. So another thing we need to understand in a company, in a business, is that it is a mission. It is not your individual interest. So the mission of Apple is to make sure that this product gets into the hands of people. So whether you are an innovator or whether you are the inventor, so far as that goal is met, so far as the purpose of the company, the business is reached, that is the most important thing. Right? So I wanted to clear that, because we have situations where people who, especially developers, begin to say they are innovators, they want to move into innovation, they want to, like, if you are, you will definitely, you know, and you begin to work towards that path. But if you are an inventor, like there are people who are great inventors, they just want to sit down and create things. They are not, they don't want to start talking with customers. Hey, what's up? How do you like this product? Hey, what's up? Like, they don't want that. That's not their thing. What they want to do is stay, give them coffee, give them what they need, and they build great products. Right? So we just need to understand that, so that we don't contradict it and then begin to move to kind of trying to battle between innovation. Let me move into innovation. Let me move into invention. So it doesn't really work that way. Okay. So I don't know if I answered that question. Okay. There was one thing you said. You said, how do we, for now, begin to look at the commercialization aspect? Now, the first thing is to understand where you are. Then, when you understand this is where teamwork comes to play, right? So if you are building a business and you know you are an inventor, so who you need is an innovator who is going to come around and be able to see how these products can reach into the hands of and impact people. They're not just talking about marketing. They're not just talking about marketing. Okay? So how can this product try to impact a whole number of people and get into the hands of people? There are great inventions like kites. I don't know how many of us who played kites when we were young. Okay, so someone did that as an invention, but someone, it was not commercialized because nobody paid for it. But now somebody used that invention, improved that invention, and maybe brought in aeroplanes and commercialized it that you can buy it. So that's where innovation is. That's what innovation is. Okay. So you need to find those people who can improve that invention and probably make it more impactful, that it will reach more people. So teamwork has to come here, where you complement your skills. And you have an inventor, you have an innovator, just like you have at Apple. And great things you see even as of today, it's still happening, just like when the two teams were there. So that's what I would suggest you need to have.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Like you said, there should be a combination of innovators and inventors. You must not say I'm an inventor or I'm an innovator and try to switch between. There are some people that their team are just to create, and you must bring together a team, an ecosystem that helps you push your invention to innovation. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So that is on the first playbook. Questions can be accepted on the chat area as we move on to the second playbook. Okay, so the second playbook is particularly very, very important for us here in the country, because we are trying as much as possible to capture value, but we see that most of us also dwell more on creating value other than capturing value from what we've created. And that is one reason why entrepreneurs, why people that are actually trying to create and innovate end up dying. Startups end up dying before time, because they do not figure out how to capture value. So, sir, the question I have on this part, from what I have on the question part, is that, are these strategies, you talked about building systems that can capture value beyond just creating value, are they strategies that you think some other innovators or inventors are putting in place that they can migrate from just creating value to also capturing value from what they have created? Some things that we ourselves here in the country are not following, are not playing, because these are playbooks, these are rule books. A friend of mine said there are always rules and there are laws on doing things. Are there strategies out there that our contemporaries from other parts of the country or some other successful companies are using to actually capture value that we ourselves, or people, let me say generally, entrepreneurs that are not yet at that point of capturing value, are not applying?
as entrepreneurs, as business people, we are so, by default, we are so excited about our products. We are so excited about what we are doing. We are so happy that, oh, we have added this feature. Oh, people can now use this. Oh, people can now do this. Oh, people can now do this. So that is default. So we are always so excited about those things. But we need to understand the fact that if you keep doing that, after 1 year, 2 years, you will not have the resources to keep improving that product and even bring the good features that you need to bring. Okay, so that validates the need of capturing value. But what I would say is, first of all, you need to understand your business. You need to really understand your business. When we started Chooya, okay, we started as a search engine platform, and one question people asked was, will they be able to capture value? This is cool, but will you be able to capture value? And the truth is that we might not be able to capture value or figure out how to capture value. Most times, it's not that you cannot capture value from a particular model, but just that you have not figured out how to capture value from there. So what we did was, we saw the need for search and a combination of shopping. So what we were doing initially was, we focus on local market. So the local market is unstructured, the local market is stressful, time consuming. So how can we be able to redefine that experience for customers? Now we created a search engine platform where people can be able to access this local market confidently and be able to know where they can be able to buy specific products and companies, right? Which is a huge problem. So we're excited, but the truth is that people are not interested to pay you for that. People are not interested to pay for that. We couldn't figure out how we can be able to capture value from that. So what we did was, we started pivoting and said, okay, we need to bring a combination of search and shopping experience. So where you can not just search where you can buy this product, or where the market lines where this product is found, but you can now be able to buy this product. And if you do that, okay, fine. Most people will tell you, oh, that the product is high, if you add commission on it, so they'll tell you we are not buying. So you see that you need to really understand your business, right? So if you understand it, you cannot be able to figure out how can we really capture value. See, the truth is this: it is very easy to start a business today. It is very easy to create wonderful values, wonderful value propositions. But the truth is, the most difficult thing to do in business as entrepreneurs is capturing value. That is the most important thing. Now, that was what we did, and you now see a situation where people tell you, no, we can't use this service because if we want to capture value by adding additional money, right? So a product that is sold 5,000, we now add maybe 200 because 5,200. So people will say, no. Normally, I can buy this product 5,000. Why are you putting 200? So, in fact, we are not using this platform. So, you see that it is quite difficult to capture value. So, what we did was we said, okay, fine. If these people want to go to the market, they definitely, if they let's say we are not using this service, we have to go to the market ourselves. What they have to do is that they need to contact transport and get to this market. So, we saw the need and said, okay, fine. Instead of adding commissions on our products, right? Let us be able to come from the aspect of delivery, which if it's supposed to cost you 300 to get to the market to get that product, we give you that product at the same price, okay, and capture the value from delivering it to you. But you know also, if you run on this playbook, it might also be challenging because you might not capture enough value, right? When I say enough value, means you might not make a lot. The margin of your profit might be very low. So it becomes an issue for you to be able to keep scaling, right? So what I would say is, first of all, you need to understand your business, and another important thing that helps, right, is understanding the finance of your business. So at some point, the margin for us is quite low, and if you keep creating this value, another thing you also need to understand is that you might capture value after 5 years. If you understand that, you can keep playing so that after 5 years you capture your value. That is what Amazon is doing. So Amazon will keep selling, losing money. After 5 years, 7 years, that is when they will capture that money. And for you to play in that area, you need to have a lot of money in stock. And that is what people like Chooya are doing. Chooya, as of today, I doubt if they have become profitable. So we all know Chooya as great company, but they are not capturing enough value to keep them sustainable. So what they are doing is that they are still creating value, losing money, hoping that one day they will be able to capture value. Okay. So what I say is understand your business, and very importantly, understand the finance of the business. The finance of the business will help you identify the best places, the best model that will help you capture value. You know the one that will give you the higher margins. Okay, so when we started looking at the financials of our business, the financial modeling, and trying to understand the numbers of our business, that was how we figured out something I would not want to share here on the next move for us to be able to do great things for Chooya. So behind or beyond what we are doing, we cannot be able to do something bigger, create more value, and be able to capture more value. So that is what I say. One, understand your business, and two, make sure you understand the finance. As entrepreneurs, as business people, we take finance for granted. Please, the lifeblood of your business is finance.
And on that high note, the lifeblood of our business is finance. Okay. And that's one thing we should actually pay attention to when you're actually starting a business or starting a company or looking forward to transferring the company to a platform. Leading us to the next playbook we are going to talk about, company versus platforms. Okay, so as we are going to this next playbook, let's have it at the back of our mind that irrespective of what you are putting out to the table, what you are putting out to the world, figure out how to capture value, or else you're on the verge of dying off before you get to that vision or the mission you have set aside for your company. So know your value, know your business, know your numbers, and you will capture value. Okay, so the next we have on the playbook is company versus platform. Now this is a very interesting notion. You actually spoke on something quite briefly, but I think it's also the lifeblood of the platform and how it differs from the company. You say something about ecosystems. That is platform is all about creating an ecosystem that allows every other person to play within the value you are creating. So, sir, I would like you to stress a little bit more on ecosystem, because I believe that if we understand the role an ecosystem plays and we understand the workings, the system behind what an ecosystem, how it works, we can better align our mindsets on creating more ecosystems or creating more platforms that can actually work, either than just creating a company. So, sir, talk about the ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. Let me give the practical instance. When we were at the Alibaba business, they were open enough to share with us what Alibaba is doing and what almost every big great company we know today are doing. That is what almost everybody is doing, and that is about building platform. And when they talk about platform, it is beyond just creating an online platform. I keep emphasizing that. So it's kind of creating an ecosystem. So this is what Alibaba does. Alibaba, as we know, is where you can be able to buy your products. E-commerce platform where you can buy your products, especially across China and other places. Now, but what they do is they were able to create an ecosystem that will allow them to be able to scale fast. So let me give you an instance. So please pay attention. This is very, very important. Now, this is what they do. Now, Alibaba has different activities they need to do so that they can be able to get to the goal of their business. And one of them is that they need to do packaging. They need to do delivery. They need to do customer service. They need to do a whole lot of things. So what these people do is to create an ecosystem where other players, there are people who normally what they do is packaging. Even before Alibaba came on board, what they do is packaging. What they do is just focus and help people package their products. So what these guys do is to create an ecosystem where these people can come and flock. So Alibaba will not want to go and start doing that on their own. One, they might not have the fund at that time. So what they do is to create an ecosystem. So that ecosystem will allow the packaging company to come and plug themselves, and then Alibaba has already figured out how to do packaging. And when that company comes to Alibaba plugin, they capture value from Alibaba and they will be happy. And now what will happen is that they will go about and be telling people, use Alibaba, buy from Alibaba, buy from Alibaba. Why? Because if you happen to buy from Alibaba, they will be the one to do the packaging and they'll capture value. So Alibaba will keep creating an ecosystem for a lot of players to come into that ecosystem. And when there are a lot of ecosystem players in that platform, what happens? You now have a lot of people who are now leveraging your platform to be able to be happy and grow. And at some point, you might not even be doing marketing. You might not even be the one talking about your platform, your product, your company. People will be happy, making money, living their lives, and your platform grows. So that is ecosystem. Ecosystem is where different people come together, share resources. So it's kind of a shared resources approach, right? A shared resource approach where people come and share their valuable resources. So the packaging people, the delivery people, so people who are making delivery will be happy because if Alibaba folds today, if Alibaba closes today, they lose their business, right? So you see that Alibaba is going about making people happy, not just them. Because if you build a company is focused on, you know what, you know now, oh, I will run a company, you come to work, you sit down, you do things, nobody is blogging. If you leave today, nobody will miss you. Nobody is praying for you not to close because you are not, nobody is blocked you. So I hope that instance is clear on why we need to build platforms rather than companies.
Yes. Thank you very much. That actually sheds more light on ecosystem. That summarizes it all. If you are building something that nobody's praying for you not to go out on, it means that you're just building a company or you're building something for yourself, or just to make yourself feel good. So you should try as much as possible to channel our energy towards building an ecosystem, which is a system that allows every other people, different players, to benefit and play a role in the whole value creation process. Okay, thank you very much. That is on the playbook, the third playbook, company versus platform. Yeah, so I also want to add to company versus platform that is a hint that going forward, we've been doing here at Lanepact, we've been trying to put together a structure that allows individuals, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of the part of the country we are currently running from 9 different states here in Nigeria. We are bringing together professionals that either entry level or people that want to go into different career paths, product managers, UI UX designers, sales, marketing, and we are putting together a platform that is going to take this to the next level, allow different companies play a role. People like, for instance, Rat5 can decide that they want to build an autonomous team, irrespective of wherever they are in the world, to carry out a project or build a solution on the platform called Agro Platform. Is a hint. It's coming up. We are launching it in the next 3 months, 2 months to go. And that platform is aimed as, like he said, building an ecosystem where different companies can actually get teams that can create solution from wherever they are to actually solve either pressing problems or their own clients' problem. So that's an example of ecosystem. And we believe that as we're going forward, different players can actually come together to make this ecosystem thrive, because it needs everybody to create solution and to make every other person thrive in different departments. Okay, so that's another example of ecosystem. I just wanted to drop it in there, the Agro platform. Okay, so the final one, besides the golden rule, which is love for greatest, I want to leave down. That's the package one. We are going to talk a lot about that. We are now on, for me, the fourth playbook, demand versus supply. Okay, so sir, you gave a lot of examples there, and one thing that came to mind is the pull effect. That is demand. The pull effect that happens when there is demand, other than you trying to push things to every other person that you are supplying. So now, looking at the question comes like this: looking at the ecosystem, let me know it's the ecosystem, the country's limitation, because we are trying to fact check a few things. We are trying to look at reality, and that is why this is where your expertise play a role. So looking at the limitations in the country based on the mindset, some things like light data, some things like policy. When I say mindset, I mean you are creating a value that you know that if you are selling to someone outside the country, for instance, software engineers or a UI UX designer, the value of your own creation is well revered outside the country. But now, coming back to the country, they see it as any other person can do it, and you are not really paid well, or per se, you don't capture enough value. They are not valued. Your solution is not valued in the country. So how do you create that demand in a scenario, in an environment where the demand itself is not meeting up to the expectations of the people putting out the demand? How do you create that demand? How do you work around it since they are not valuing what you are putting out within the environment? How do you work around that, sir?
Okay, so people actually go for what they want, and most times there are a lot of reasons why the demand will not be valued. Like the value for your product or service will not be valued. So if I actually get that right, so you see that what I'm trying to explain in demand and supply is this. Let me ask one simple question. If let's say the president of Nigeria is going to speak, right? He's going to be addressing the country. Where do you go to?
You either go to Twitter. That's when Twitter was not banned. You get it on Twitter, get it on social media generally.
Okay, cool. Now you now see that people are not going. But who has that supply? The owner of that video or that kind of conversation or broadcast presentation happens to be the media people, right? So it might be NTA that is covering him, but people will still not go to NTA. People will not go to Twitter, social media, and go and get it there because that is not where the demand comes. So what we can also do as businesses is to find where the demand is going. So as people who have the supply, so I don't know if you are talking from the aspect of software engineers. So as a software engineer, you have the supply, so you have the raw product. But if somebody wants to assess a software engineer, I go to Fiverr, I go to Freelancer. So that is where these are people who are not creating the demand. So if I'm in demand of a software developer, I go to Fiverr. I don't come to you. So what happens is that if Fiverr, if I'm going to pay, let's say $1,000, at the end of the day, you as the owner of the solution, the skill, will definitely not get $1,000. The value is going to drop, right? So that is what I mean by demand and supply. So let's say you sell yam. A local seller who is selling yam, if you want to buy yam in a rural community, you use Chooya to access demand and buy it. So we are building demand. So if you have demand for yam, you can access demand, or you can do that through a platform. But now, what happens is that the man who sells yam, if he begins to position himself by making sure he figure out the places where he can attract more demand, and even begin to build capacity around creating his own demand, right? So that is where he can now begin to have an option
Okay.
where people can come to you and buy, and even if it gets out of stock, right? So he's no longer taking just from the supply as owner of the brand. He has built a demand system around that where he can now begin to assess people who are in demand for them and then service them and reach to them. So if people are, let's say in Nigeria, there are a lot of reasons why people will not value certain things. One is when there are inferior products. Another is when there is low purchasing power. So this is now something that that is not my area when it comes to economics. So there are several reasons why people will not value it. So if there are alternatives, so instead of me buying pizza, I'll buy buns, I'll buy puff, right? Instead of me buying pizza, I'll buy meat pie because my purchase power, you cannot be able to buy pizza. Or even if I want to buy the pizza, I'll be pricing the pizza in the aspect of as if I'm pricing the meat pie. So you also need to figure out the people who need and can pay for your service. So you need to know your customer segment, know who are really the people you are serving, so that you know the pricing you are giving to them. You can't tell someone who earns 10,000, naira, 20,000 naira, 50,000 naira to go and buy maybe a product worth 80,000 naira. So if you're selling a product of 80,000, you shouldn't be talking to those people in that category. So you need to figure out your customer segment category.
Thank you, sir. That's a big light to this demand and supply myth. That's figure out your target customer segments and know how you are giving value to them. How to create the demand around that target customer segment. Okay, so I think that pretty much solves the demand and supply pool. Okay, so thank you very much. I have a question from Ecosystem. I know we have passed that playbook, but let me just throw it out there, sir. So the question goes like this: from your experience as a serial entrepreneur, how do we create an ecosystem that thrives? Say from your experience as a serial entrepreneur, how do you create an ecosystem that thrives?
Just make every player in that ecosystem to be happy. So when you have people who are happy, the ecosystem will thrive. If you have people who are happy making money, policies, when you are building the platform ecosystem, you are the one deciding a whole lot of things, policies, a whole lot of things. So if people are happy, the ecosystem will be happy with you. So I think that's the only way you need to do that. So you just need to figure out how can the players in this platform, in this ecosystem be happy. So if you're building an ecosystem for drivers, if drivers are happy, cool, you grow. So just like what is happening with Uber, here we see a scenario where most of the drivers are not happy with Uber, right? Why? Because their London counterparts are being treated better, but then in Nigeria, they're not treated better. So what happens? They will begin to find alternatives, and the ecosystem will begin to thrive. So if they are happy, any ecosystem that have its players happier than every other player, that's where you go to. So I think that is the way I want to answer that. Just make the players happy, the ecosystem will be happy.
Okay, yeah. To make the players happy and the ecosystem will thrive. Wow, that's a huge formula. Yes, there are a lot of things behind making the players happy. You have to really know the ecosystem, the players in the ecosystem, know your customer segment and everything. But try as much as possible to make the players happy and your ecosystem will thrive. Okay, so I also have another question from the value, that's the product, platform versus company. But okay, let me take one from value creation versus value capturing. So the question goes like this: kindly suggest how we can capture value from our products?
Okay, I will not be able to tell you how you capture value because I don't understand the model you're playing with, right? But when we talk about capturing value, it's about figuring out how you can be able to capture value for the value you are creating. So one way to do that is to know what will your customers be willing to pay for. What will your users be willing to pay for? People are not willing to pay for everything. So you might have great products, but they are not willing to pay for it. So we need to understand the fact that users are people who love what you do, but they are not willing to pay for it. But customers are people who love what you do, and they pay for that, and that is how you capture value. So the simple way to figure out how to capture value for your business is by identifying what will people be willing to pay for. So if you have the products, if you have a business, people might not be able to pay for a specific thing. Now, another thing is that people might be paying ₦1 for this, but there's a way you can be able to provide the value and you upscale and sell and kind of capture value at ₦3. So these are some of the things you just need to figure out. Where or what value can we create that will make us capture value? So, and also, you know, you cannot capture value when you are not creating value. So capturing value is dependent on value you are creating. So you need to figure out which value people be willing to pay for. So for instance, if people like Facebook ask you if you make a post, you pay. You will say you are not paying. You will say, no, I will not pay. Instead, let me stay in my house. So you see that Facebook will not be able to capture value from that angle. So what's Facebook doing? Facebook will not say, okay, fine. Let's allow you to use Facebook for free. Then let's capture value from people who want to advertise to you. So companies go to Facebook because Facebook have a lot of people coming to it. Facebook will now collect money from the companies who want to advertise and reach you. That is how they capture value. So you just need to figure out what are people willing to pay for. People on Facebook are willing to pay so that they can reach you, so that their product can reach to other people. So that's the best way to capture value. Right? Now, for you as who wants to use Facebook, who wants to use Facebook, you don't want to pay for you to post something on Facebook. You don't want to pay for you to post something on Twitter. Right? So you see that is not the best way to capture value. So identify what people are willing to pay for and be able to do that. And then scale, figure out how you can scale it. Right? And that is when great things will happen. And what Facebook is doing is to empower you so that you create more content, so that a lot of people will come. And when a lot of people are coming, that is how they are doing what they can be able to capture more value. So Facebook is improving those key areas that they know that they use to capture value. For instance, Facebook probably now see that a lot of people are watching videos on Facebook. So they want to improve that particular service because that is where they are capturing more value, because a lot of businesses now know that people are watching videos on Facebook. So they now place their advertisement on Facebook. So Facebook have identified not just you running a Facebook ad that will show on the timeline of business, but they are capturing more value by placing advertisements there on the videos. So this is how they have been able to identify, scale up their value capturing strategy. But they have also identified what people are willing to pay. That is paid for, and that is what you just need to figure out. When you do that, that is when you can really begin to capture value with ease.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That really captures, because everybody's product is different. So if you figure out how you are going to capture value for your product, that is a golden nugget for you. We should work around knowing our customer, our target audience. It still boils down to that. Know your customer, know your numbers, and then figure out how to work with your numbers to capture value. Okay, so we are almost at the end of the section. We are getting to the last part. We'll be done by 12:30. But this part is very important. Like you said, it is personal to you. It is something that you call it believe. That is love is the greatest. So with regards to that, you say something about empathy, going beyond customer satisfaction or customer or good customer service, but to empathize or to actually love the two branches of the business, which is the employee and then the customer. So how would you advise, since this is your baby, this is what you call it believe. So sir, how do you advise the young entrepreneurs coming out in the industry to go about really empathizing or really loving, one, their employees, and then two, their customers, beyond just customer service?
Okay, so first of all, is that you cannot give what you don't have. You must have love for you to be able to give. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have love. You have it abundantly and you be able to share it with others. So when you do that, you also make sure that everybody who is joining your team are people who are willing to love other people. Right? So that is one important thing you need to figure out. You need to check. So you need to first of all have what you are going to do. So if you don't have love, if you don't have it today, you can actually begin to find means to be able to get it. Okay? So another thing is that when we look at two companies, let me ask one simple question. If you have company A and company B, and company A produces, let's say they produce mobile phone, and both of them produces mobile phone, company A and company B, and you look at the quality of the products, they are cool, they are amazing. This one is 100%, this one is 100%. And their customer service is awesome. This one is 100%, this one is 100%. Will you buy from company A and company B? Who will you buy from? So I just want to ask to get a feedback. So who would you like to buy from? Would you want to buy from customer A or customer B? So you see that in this case, you don't know who to buy from. But the the company that you see that loves you is the one you are likely to go to. People are attracted to people who love them. Anybody can claim to love you. Hello?
Yes, you can hear you now. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so let me just summarize that. I say you need to have love for you to be able to share love. So first thing first, make sure you have love that you need to give. And make sure that you have people who also have love to give. Now, another thing is that you know that love is kind of reciprocal. If you love someone, definitely the person will love you back. So if your company is company built on love, you see that you no longer have just customers, but you have people who love you. And these people are not just called customers, but they are called partners. They will become kind of, they can argue for you, they can kill themselves for you. So you see people who are like Chelsea fans, who are like, they will die for Chelsea, they say you die here, right? So until you begin to move your customers to fans, that is when you can be able to also capture a whole lot of fans. Now, when you have fans, what happens is that even if you don't have new customers, your fans will continue to buy from you. So this is also another way to capture that fan. If you can be able to build a company centered on love, then automatically your customers will move from just being customers to fans. And what will happen? You'll be able to capture more value. So what happens here is that if I buy from a company once every month, because I love this company, what happens? I will buy from them 4 times every month, and that means they will capture more value. When sales increase, value is captured more. So if your margin will also increase. So these are some of the things you can add also to also capture value. Okay? So that is why I said love is the greatest, and if you are able to build a company centered on love, not just you as a founder or the owner, but everyone there is building a company centered on love, that is when great things will still happen for your company. And a lot of people will move from just being your customers to coming into your fans. And that is when sales will grow. And what happens in these aspects is not just that they will buy from you 4 times at this point. But what will not happen is that they will go their way and tell you, you need to join Chelsea, you need to join Man U, you need to, because they are fans. You need to join this, you need to buy this product. So you as a company will no longer be the one to do your marketing, talking about your product. People will now be the one to say, if you are not here, you are missing out. When that happens, you know that you have entered into the point of growth to limitless growth. So you keep growing because you are no longer going to spend money on marketing. People will not be the one. One person can just die for the company and say we must get 1 million customers for this company because they are great. They are actually a great company that have shown us love. So you just have to figure out the best way to build your company centered on love. Fine, customer service is great, but what if there are what if the customer service is equal? So the customer is not going to look at who do I love more, right? So that is where the customer will go to. That customer will become a fan. And once the customer is a fan to a particular company, I bet you never take that person away. You see a lot of people who are joining Arsenal. Who joined Arsenal? I don't know if there are Arsenal people. So they join Arsenal. Even for how many years they have not won trophy. But they said they will die there. Why? Because they have come to Arsenal has turned them to fans, and they will say whether Arsenal perishes, whether they go relegation, they still go to go with Arsenal. I don't know why I'm using Arsenal fans.
But I can see you're an Arsenal fan. Oh, I don't know, I'm just saying. But it's true. It's true. You have to make fans out of your users or customers to take it to the next level. And that is one method we all can try as much as possible to put into play in our various entrepreneurship journey. Okay, thank you. It has been a wonderful ride. We are so honored to have you here with us, Mr. Igwe Uguru. We believe that going further, we all have captured a lot of value from this. And to take it a little bit further, I got something that I want to put out there as we round up. That the entrepreneurship journey is a very long game. It's a long game that you need to actually own up and brace yourself, because everything between capturing value, demand, showing love is not something you do as a side hustle. You can start as a side hustle, but it needs attention. It's more like a baby that you take care of. So let us have that at the back of our mind as we step out as entrepreneurs. It is a game that you really need to pay attention to. You need to dedicate time to actually push things forward. And to help that, we know that this journey has a certain level of stages. So here at Lanepact, we also take it a little bit further to help each and every one of us at different stages of the process for the entrepreneurship journey. We have services for the start phase, the run phase, the growth phase, the scale phase, and even sell. So we believe that if you go through these 5 stages, start, run, grow, scale, and even sell, we are there to help each, as an ecosystem, to help each and every one of us, irrespective of any phase that we are in the whole process, to get to the next phase. Okay, so this is 12:34. The program is scheduled for 1 hour 30 minutes. Mr. Igwe, we are very much careful. We'll be expecting 1 or 2 closing talks from you as a round up for the program. Yeah, Mr. Igwe.
All right, thank you very much. I would have loved to hear other people like hear them not just competing. I would have loved to, but it's cool. Probably we still have some other things to learn. And I just want us to understand that the entrepreneurship journey is quite an interesting one, and we just have to make sure that we find the best way for us to do it as fast as possible online, okay, which is quite important. So I keep learning every day from different people, see what they are doing differently from what we're doing, and also learn from their experiences. So let's be open to them. That's what I would say. And let's also make sure that we build company center of start emphasizing it. Okay? Because I don't know why I keep saying that. I just summarize and say more things to business. Okay? So in case you need any in case you want this conversation beyond this, I might be available. Maybe if you reach me personally, I should be available to maybe answer some questions. I know most times some persons might not want to ask questions directly from there. So feel free, reach out to me. I'm open to that. And probably I can also see how I can also help. I want you to understand that I am also an entrepreneur who is on the journey of learning from other persons. So I also want to hear from you sometime in the future. I'm quite privileged and honored to be speaking to us in this capacity today. I say God bless you. Remember to, if you need the financial support, get it just for free. And let's keep giving it. If you don't mind, you can also check out what we're doing on Chooya. And you can download the mobile app. Play Store, just search for Chooya, CHOAYA. See what we're doing. Check out the website to see what we're doing. And what we are trying to roll out next, so you see what we are also doing. So I'm just going to appreciate your time, so we can go back and continue with Thank you, Lanepact, for the opportunity. Thank you, Sebus. Thank you for what you guys are doing. Right for you guys are doing. We will continue to create one.
Share. So you can reach out to him personally. His LinkedIn profile will be his LinkedIn direct link to his LinkedIn will be shared on the chat area. Also, we'll have a follow-up on everybody that attended the program and some other people that attended the last program. Will get an email which contains the recording of this section as well as how to reach out to the guest speaker for further conversations. Okay, so thank you very much. Today we debunked the myths and we found the reality behind innovation and sustainable playbook for entrepreneurs. Okay, so thank you for joining in. We expect to see you on our next series, our next episode on the reality check section. Thank you and have a nice day.